mayor and myself, and what that reveals is that our revenue contribution, our remittance to CAMS is $200,000 to $300,000 short of what the actual cost is for those services to be provided here in the community. If I was sitting in this chair at the city of Camas, I would be advising the decision makers in Camas to look at a cost-based interlocal agreement and to move away from potentially this revenue-based sort of an arrangement. I just think that would be appropriate. I just toss that out there just in terms of the credibility of the approach, at least from my professional perspective. So based on conversations between myself and Lloyd, the Camas administrator, as well as the mayors, we are proposing, as Washougal, we've tentatively agreed and articulated in our proposed budget to commit $150,000 from the restricted EMS fund. As you recall, we have a pot of money that's sitting there that's restricted, can only be used for EMS purposes. We're proposing to supplement the system with one-time use of those funds, $150,000 this year. It's shy of the $200,000 to $300,000 that we're short in terms of what the actual cost is. And then we're continue to work together as communities in this partnership to look at an equitable arrangement moving forward. But we're going to have to do something because we've got a problem. We have the consolidation discussions that you're aware of. Certainly those are relevant. We may have to look at adjustments to the interlocal agreement. Another approach to this could be service level, a service level approach. I think there was strong feeling on the mayor's behalf, and I don't want to speak for you, Sean, but and myself, that particularly with the expressed preference of the community in the recent vote that took place, a 70% favorable vote on EMS services in the community. It's pretty clear it's a very important service in the community, and so we did not look at a service reduction option, and felt that we have these EMS funds available to us. They are there expressly for EMS services. Let's use those funds to shore the system up and provide EMS services in the community, and then continue to move forward over the next year with our partners really to figure out what the next steps would be. So that's kind of the background and the logic behind the $150,000 appropriation request that's in the budget. I don't know if you had any other general comments to make there.
I think you capsulized it pretty well. Yeah, I know there have been some questions of, the predication of why we would look at spending monies from our own city coffers to assist Camas in getting out of a budget problem that they have. And really, I don't even look at this from that aspect. What we have requested of Camas and what they've come back to us in numbers and that type of stuff is, rather than even looking at reductions in the service, and by reductions in the service, one of the things that was mentioned out there is, and my belief is, if we don't do something and if some other changes aren't made and that type of stuff, that I would fully expect that Camas will come to both other jurisdictions, ourselves and East County Fire and Rescue, and ask for some changes to the interlocal agreements that exist today, because truly by all appearances, and Joan Durgan, I believe, is an excellent finance director, and if she can look at me and tell me that that thing is going to run into the ground in 2012, I believe that that thing is going to run into the ground in 2012. So something needs to be done if we want to maintain the current system that we have. One of the things that has been mentioned is going to a 12-hour-a-day peak hour coverage, which again is different than the contract we have with them today. So even if we do nothing with it, I would expect that Camas will most likely ask for a 6-month notice to be given to go back into the contract and look at things and how they're done in there. Which, to give you, and I know I've emailed some information out to the council, but to give you an idea of what does that mean if we go to a 12-hour approach, that means that we would, my understanding is that that means that we would have a two-person crew that is assigned to Washougal for the peak 12 hours of call volume in a given day. So they'll look back at history of, traditionally, when do those calls come in, between what hours and what hours for the majority of them, and we would have a unit here during those 12 hours, the same as we have today for a 24-hour period, outside of the times that it's already on to calls or on a transport. What would happen the other 12 hours? Basically, we'd go back to a system that we had prior to 2008 when they started stationing, or early 2009 when they started stationing that unit out here. We would still get response. Response would most likely come from the downtown Camas Fire Station. Again, looking at changes in service levels, I had asked Dave to make the approach to Lloyd and Camas of, if we didn't want to look at reducing that 24-hour capability, would they be willing to accept, would they, the city of Camas and the EMS providers, be willing to accept an additional $150,000 in order to basically keep the status quo of what we have in the agreement today? And they came back and said yes, that they would do that, and we're appreciative if we go that direction to trying to put something into the system in addition to keep the thing moving forward. At the same time, I would expect that we'll probably be looking at the entire EMS makeup as we know it in the East County, most likely in 2011, to see if there are fundamentally some other changes that we can make that make it more efficient and make it more cost-effective and get us out of the problem of, one, supplementing dollars, and two, the prospect of that system going away. So, one, I don't see us trying to solve Camas's budget problems. I see it as a guarantee of a service level to our constituents in Washougal, because I'm not asking them how big their problem is. I'm just asking them, how large of a hole do you have in Washougal versus what it costs you to operate that system, and do we have a way to possibly help fill that hole in? So I think really, we've got probably two, maybe three options available. One, if we leave the system the way it is today and don't do any additional dollars over to Camas, I believe that most likely we will see some effort from Camas to approach us in 2011 with some other type of an agreement that makes the system whole, or at least more whole. I think you can certainly buy a level of service. I think you also have the option of not spending the additional $150,000 and just seeing where all of that may play out. I've known Lloyd for many, many years. I've known Lloyd ever since he got here. I've known Paul Dennis for many years, and I don't consider them individuals that cry wolf. I think when they have a problem, they come forth in a very forthcoming manner, and help us understand where they're at and what needs to happen with that. There is some definite need there. But again, my predication is really to the constituents and the taxpayers in Washougal, and how we best provide that